The belief that change is a solo act of willpower is perhaps one of the most persistent myths of the modern era, but Joe Bandel challenges this head-on in Chapter 13 of his work, The Oak Matrix Unleashed. He argues that trying to break free from life's ruts using only internal grit is like trying to stop a rolling boulder with your bare hands. It's exhausting, and often it's just plain impossible because we're not operating in a vacuum. True transformation, according to the OAK matrix, requires a partnership between our inner effort and external cosmic forces.
It's such a grounded way to look at something that usually gets buried in high-concept spiritual talk. Bandel uses this incredibly vivid image of an oak tree to anchor the idea. An oak doesn't just decide to grow through sheer desire. It's a constant exchange. The roots pull from the soil, the leaves take in the sun, and even the wind plays a part by strengthening the wood. Without those external helpers, the tree doesn't stand a chance. He applies that same logic to us. If you're feeling stuck in a career or a toxic relationship, you have to recognize that your current reality is the result of past choices that now have their own momentum. You've built a system, and systems have inertia.
The idea of inertia is fascinating here because it reframes our stuckness not as a failure of character, but as a law of physics. If you've been rolling a certain way for years, that path is deeply grooved. Bandel mentions chaos theory, specifically how systems build up pressure until they hit a critical point and then leap into a new order. It suggests that the crisis we often fear might actually be the very mechanism of change we've been waiting for, but he's adamant that we can't force that leap on our own.
That's where the duality comes in, the loving embrace he's always talking about. In his framework, duality isn't a conflict between me versus the world. It's more like a dance. He brings up this brilliant analogy from ancient Egypt about carving limestone. The workers would wedge a dry rope into a groove in the rock and then pour water on it. As the rope absorbed the water, it expanded with such force that it split the stone. In this scenario, your daily effort is the rope. You're building up potential energy, but you're just sitting there in the groove until life, the water, is added to the mix. It's the combination of your internal potential and the external pressure that finally cracks the barrier.
It's worth pausing on that Egyptian analogy, though. While the image of wooden wedges swelling with water to split granite or limestone is a classic trope in popular archaeology, some modern researchers, like James Harrell and Per Stormer, note that there's actually very little hard evidence for this being the primary method in the Old Kingdom quarries. They point more towards stone tools and fire setting to weaken the rock. But regardless of the archaeological debate, as a metaphor for personal growth, it's incredibly potent. It shifts the focus from fighting the rock to expanding from within it.
And that expansion is specifically what he calls building energy for the astral plane. This is where the OAK matrix gets more technical. He describes our physical bodies as biological batteries that only produce half the current needed for a fully realized soul. According to his model of organic Gnosticism, we're born into a specific polarity based on our biology, expansive male energy or containing female energy. To truly change, we need to bridge that gap. He suggests we generate a surplus of energy through extreme daily effort, physical, mental, and spiritual, and then inject that energy into the astral realm during sleep.
The concept of the astral can sound a bit out there for some listeners, but it's been a staple in esoteric traditions for centuries, from Theosophy to Neoplatonism. It's often viewed as a non-physical layer of reality that interpenetrates our own. Bandel treats it almost like a magnetic field. You charge your battery during the day with intense activity, maybe a high-intensity workout or deep study, and then at night, that energy is released. He describes the astral layers as expanding and compressing in cycles, almost like a nutcracker. If you've inflated your astral self with enough effort, that compression eventually breaks the weak links in your physical life.
And he gives us a way to monitor this, our dreams. He says if you're having at least 3 vivid, empowering dreams a week, like flying or succeeding at a task, that's a sign your energy is successfully interacting with the astral. On the flip side, frequent nightmares or no dreams at all suggest an imbalance or a lack of effort. It's a feedback loop. Science actually supports the idea that vivid, immersive dreaming makes sleep feel more restorative. A 2026 study from the IMT School for Advanced Studies, Luca, found that people reported deeper sleep after intense dream experiences, even though their brain activity was high. So, Bandel's dream monitor aligns with the idea that high-quality dreaming is a marker of psychological health.
But isn't there a risk of burnout with this extreme effort approach? He's asking people to push their limits daily, exercise, read, meditate, and then do visualizations at night. For someone already struggling with a draining career, that sounds like a lot. It's almost paradoxical. You're exhausted by your circumstances, so you're told to exert more effort to break them.
It does sound intense, but he's very clear that it's about intentional effort, not just being busy. It's the difference between treading water and swimming toward a shore. The stuckness is a form of passive exhaustion. He's advocating for a power hour where you consciously build that internal tension. He also points out that we have to live through certain situations to learn the lessons they hold. There's no magical cure that bypasses the experience. You can't just wish the boulder away. You have to feel its weight to understand how to move it. This perspective actually removes a lot of the self-blame that people feel. You aren't failing at changing. You're simply in the process of building the necessary pressure for a leap.
That's the chaos element again. In systems theory, when a system is far from equilibrium, meaning it's under high stress and agitation, it becomes sensitive to tiny changes. This is the butterfly effect. A small shift in your habits, combined with that built-up internal energy, can lead to a disproportionately large transformation. It's like the tree bark cracking. It looks like destruction, but it's the only way the tree can expand.
And we have to find our external allies, or trains, as he calls them. If you want to change your career, the train might be a professional course or a mentor. You choose the track by setting your intent and doing the prep work, your rope, but you let the momentum of that external force do the heavy lifting. You're partnering with the flow of the universe rather than trying to manufacture every result yourself. It's a move from I have to do this to I am partnering with this.
So, for the person listening who feels like they've been hitting a brick wall for months, the takeaway is to stop pounding on the wall. Instead, start focusing on the rope and the water. Build that daily energy surplus, track your dreams for feedback, and look for the external momentum already moving in the direction you want to go. It's about recognizing that the loving embrace of duality means the universe isn't your opponent. It's your lead in a very complex dance.
Exactly. You aren't meant to evolve in a vacuum. By amping up your internal output and releasing it into the astral, you're essentially putting out a signal for the universe to meet you halfway. It's a mechanical, almost mathematical approach to spirituality that feels incredibly empowering because it gives you specific levers to pull. You aren't just waiting for luck, you're building the potential for a miracle.
It turns the frustration of being stuck into a period of active preparation. You're an oak seed assessing the soil, drawing in what you need before that first crack in the shell. If you found this exploration of partnership and personal growth helpful, please share this episode with someone who might be looking for a new perspective on change.